Let's talk about tarot cards, not the mystical version, not the TikTok version, not the version where a stranger on the internet tells you your ex is coming back for $50. The real version, the one that's actually useful. First, let's be honest about something. Divination, predicting the future with cards, crystals, stars, or anything else, doesn't work. There is zero evidence that anyone has ever accurately predicted a specific future event using tarot cards. Zero. In controlled conditions, readers are no more accurate than random chance, and when they do seem accurate, it's because of psychological tricks, not supernatural powers. This isn't an opinion, this is just what the evidence shows. So if someone is selling you a reading and claiming they can tell you what's going on to happen in your love life, your career, or anything else, they are selling you a product that cannot deliver what it promises. It's the same as paying someone to tell you tomorrow's lottery numbers. They might believe they can, they might even be sincere, but they can't. And you shouldn't pay for it. Not because it's evil, because it's a waste of money. You're paying for certainty that doesn't exist. You're paying for answers nobody has. You're paying someone to tell you what you want to hear, dressed up in mystery so it feels more meaningful than it is. Here's how the trick works. It's called the Barnum effect, named after P.T. Barnum. You've experienced it if you've ever read a horoscope and thought, wow, that's so me. The statements are vague enough to apply to almost anyone. You have a strong need for others to like you, but you can be critical of yourself. That fits basically every human on earth. But when it's wrapped in a language of prophecy, it feels personal. It feels like someone saw into your soul. Professional tarot readers also use something called cold reading. They make general statements and watch your reactions. They throw out a dozen guesses. When one lands, they lean into it. When one misses, they move on quickly. You only remember the hits. You forget the misses, and by the end, you're convinced they knew things they couldn't possibly know. That's not magic, that's pattern recognition and social psychology. So if tarot is not for fortune telling, what is it for? It's a psychological tool, a prompt for self-reflection, a deck of images designed to make you think about your life from angles you hadn't considered. The cards themselves are just cardstock with pictures on them. They have no power, they don't know anything about you. They can't see the future, but they can do something useful. They can force you to ask yourself questions. When you pull a card and look at it, you're not receiving information from the universe. You're projecting meaning onto an image, and that projection tells you more about what's going on in your own head than any fortune ever could. Here's an example. So you pull the death card. A fortune teller might tell you something bad is coming. That's fear mongering, but if you use it as a self reflection tool, you ask yourself, what in my life needs to end? What am I holding on to that I should let go of? What change am I resisting? The card didn't tell you the answer, it just gave you permission to ask the question. That's useful, that's real. That's the difference between superstition and psychology. The same goes for the high priestess. A fortune teller says a mysterious woman is entering your life. A self reflection user asks, when was the last time I trusted my intuition? What am I ignoring that I already know to be true? Every card can be used this way, not as a prediction but as a mirror. The images are archetypes. They represent patterns of human experience that have been around for centuries. The Lovers isn't about a specific person coming back, it's about choices, values, and what you truly want. The Tower isn't about disaster, it's about what falls apart when it's time to rebuild. The Fool isn't about being naive, it's about the courage to start something new without knowing how it ends. This is how tarot was originally used by people like Carl Jung, who studied the cards as representations of universal psychological patterns. He called them archetypes, symbols that appear across cultures and time periods because they reflect something real about the human mind. So here's the bottom line: if you treat tarot as magic, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed, scammed, or both. You're giving your power away to a deck of cards and the person who shuffles them. You're paying for answers that don't exist. But if you treat tarot as a tool, a set of prompts to help you think more clearly about your own life, it can actually be valuable. Not because the cards know anything, because you do. You just needed something to help you assess it. So don't pay for readings. Don't let anyone tell you your future. Don't base life decisions on what a card says. Buy a deck if you want. Learn the symbolism. Pull a card in the morning and ask yourself, what does this make me think about? Not what does this predict? What does this make me think about? That's the real use, not fortune telling, self reflection, not magic, psychology, not a shortcut to answers, a tool to help you find your own. The cards don't know your future, but you might learn something about your present, and that's actually worth something.